We played a clip on Friday that was absolutely perfect and unbelievable in what it exposed, but it showed, we call them like these trans Tifa activists, you know, the activists who are out there on behalf of the LGBTQ crowd, but it's really just the T part of LGBTQ that's out there. And getting in the face of somebody saying, oh, you know, they're against trans rights, they're against trans rights. And the pro-Palestinian protesters are like, what? Oh, wait, we're for that. Wait, well, then we're with him. It was Billboard Chris, you know, Billboard Chris, who's always out there with his billboard. Yes. And the trans activist was like, this is bullshit. He's against the trans people. And the pro-Palestinian people were like, oh, wait, we're with Billboard Chris. Like the realization comes out like, oh, okay, I got it. Wait, we're not actually aligned. That's the future.
Well, I don't know if you've seen those videos, but in the UK, we've had people go to these protests where they're chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And they say to them, which river and which sea? And they don't know. They don't know. So they don't even know what they're singing. All they know is that, and this is, you know, again, I'm sure talked about this in the past as well. This is the introduction of this Marxist oppressed dynamics. The moment you say, well, this group is oppressed and that group is the oppressors, then anything can happen to the oppressors and anything is excusable for the oppressed. We see this time and time again. And this is why this ideology is so dangerous and has been so dangerous, because it allows them to justify any violence whatsoever against people they have designated to be the oppressors. And I say to your listeners and to your viewers, Megyn, when these people were saying in the wake of the October 7th attacks, this is what decolonization looks like, take that seriously. Take that seriously. This is what they mean when they talk about decolonizing you. This is what they mean. They have no rules anymore.
I pointed out to the audience that was tweeted out by this activist, I mean, among others, but this one activist tweeted it out, and it was actually liked by this woman named Karen Attiah, who runs the opinion pages at the Washington Post. I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I couldn't believe my eyes. Karen Attiah happens to be Black. She's proactive in sort of the BLM world, but was on the more reasonable side of that. And so she was somebody I followed on Twitter because I like a diversity of voices coming into my head and to understand what everybody's saying. She liked that tweet, Konstantin. I was like, I'm done. You like that tweet looking at murdered babies where the person says, this is what decolonization looks like. I'm done with you. You've exposed yourself. You're a hateful person. There's no excusing it. And that's the level of big reveals we've had, person after person, school after school, institution after institution, country after country, of the level of hatred. Yes, for Jews. Yes, clearly. But it's well beyond Jews. It's whites. It's the West.
Absolutely. Well, this, you know, in my book, An Immigrant's Love Letter to the West, I talked about all of this. And I very much predicted, sadly, a lot of what's happening now, which is if you continue to tell people that they're entitled to do anything to the people that are quote unquote oppressing them, and that they are the victims and the oppressed, and what they must do is reverse the racism that their ancestors experienced, reverse the victimization that people experienced in the past, then you end up here. And while I predicted it, I also find it difficult to believe, because it's that difficult to believe that there are people in our societies who would justify murdering innocent people. But it is the logical conclusion of their ideology, and there's no getting away from that. The moment you believe that you're entitled to go and kill other people or massacre civilians or do whatever it is that they did, burn people alive, all of that terrible stuff, the moment you start to justify that in your own head, anything is possible. And I just think we've forgotten in the West how powerful ideology is, because we live in this very comfortable, very stable sort of, our societies are very predictable. Nothing ever really gets too bad most of the time. But the truth is, ideology is a very powerful thing. And you see the Islamist ideology. There are people with placards in the streets of London saying, it will show you what happens when you fight people who think death is only the beginning. And I think they're not lying. They're not wrong. There are Islamists who believe that they will be going to heaven with their 72 virgins when they blow themselves up or when they die fighting. And there are woke people who genuinely believe all this stuff, and they will go along with it to its logical conclusion. That's why, you know, I've sort of made the reputation for myself of someone who's maybe a little bit alarmist about this stuff. But sadly, I've been very vindicated in everything that's happening, because we're not being alarmist at all. This ideology is dangerous. And you have to find a way to stop this stuff being taught in your schools, because otherwise there will be no way back.
And yes, it's at least twofold, because you do have to stop it from being taught in the schools. These young people are impressionable, and when all of their teachers and their classmates are saying the same thing, it's tough to, pull them out of it. But it's also coming in fresh-faced thanks to the immigration policies. Here's Suella Braverman in that speech that I made reference to a moment ago, the now fired Homeland Secretary in Great Britain. Take a listen.
Multiculturalism makes no demands of the incomer to integrate. It has failed because it allowed people to come to our society and live parallel lives in it. They could be in the society, but not of the society. And in extreme cases, they could pursue lives aimed at undermining the stability and threatening the security of our society. We are living with the consequence of that failure today.
Now fired.
What a
Secretary
racist.
Suella Braverman. Yeah, what a racist. And I know you've pointed out, anybody brave enough to say what she just said, whether it's Suella Braverman or Tucker Carlson, winds up fired eventually, gets called a bigot, right? Like, you're not allowed to go there. You're not. Remember, it was even Tom Brokaw. I don't know if you remember this, but even Tom Brokaw of NBC News, the god of NBC News, said something about how these immigrants need to assimilate once they come to America. Well, he got browbeaten for 2 weeks in the press because of this and wound up having to dial it back. What did he say that's wrong? You don't want to live an American lifestyle or an English lifestyle, then stay home, get out. You can practice all of your Palestinian customs in Gaza. Go ahead and do it. But what they want, and Ayaan Hirsi Ali has been better than anybody in expressing this, of course, originally from Somalia, eventually manipulated by the Muslim Brotherhood, somehow got out, extracted herself from this. We did a long episode on it, and she's written books on it. Somehow got out and became a lifeline critic of Islam and what they do in particular to women. But she has been sounding the alarm about this for a decade now, about what's happening in particular in Europe. These men are moving in, and women who used to be able to walk in tank tops and shorts down the street to go get a coffee now get harassed, in some instances attacked, often have to walk with a male family member now, just in order to ensure their safety, because they're not assimilating. They're expecting the European young women and others to assimilate to them.
And we've got to a point where, it's the descendants, brown women, descendants of immigrants like Suella Braverman, first generation immigrants like me. We're all saying this because you cannot have a cohesive society if people are not willing to live together by an agreed set of customs and rules.
I've got big news from Bonner Wines. This is only for the true adventure seekers who are looking for more in their wine drinking experience than your grocery store big box wines. The Bonner Private Wine Partnership is releasing a wine so rare, it sells out practically every time it's been available. They invite you to come on an extraordinary journey to remote vineyards where a never-before imported gem has wine enthusiasts everywhere raving. Picture this: at altitudes of up to 9,000 feet, grapes defy nature's harshest challenges, thriving in poor soil, enduring extreme UV rays, and facing thin atmosphere and volatile temperature swings. The result is this one-of-a-kind extreme altitude Malbec. Now, I've arranged special access for my listeners to get a bottle of this rare wine. Here's how you do it. Go to bonnerprivatewines.com/MK, BONNER, privatewines.com/MK, and become a member of the Bonner Private Wine Partnership. But act fast, you don't want to miss your chance. Visit bonnerprivatewines.com/MK now for wine at 50% off, plus free shipping. bonnerprivatewines.com/MK today to get your wine delivered directly to your doorstep. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.